Hey everyone, and welcome to Friday. Jim, Sean, Amadeus, and we got all kinds of crazy stuff, crazy stuff to talk about. Where do you guys want to begin? A review of yesterday's crazy baseball opening day. Um, was wild. There was some pretty wild stuff that happened.
Yeah.
So what was it? What was it? We talked about this in the pre-show. The Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. What was the story there?
Yeah, so apparently the Dodgers they installed some new LED lights
Mm-hmm.
for this season,
Right.
and I read an article about it. Just from my understanding, I didn't watch the actual game,
Mm-hmm.
but from my understanding, it was just that it was the way that the light crew was treating it. The Diamondbacks were not happy. It was distracting. They would have the lights flickering during warm up, so it was tough to
Mm-hmm.
see for some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
It got to the point where they even had to tell the crew to keep the lights on, and yeah, it was just was early celebrations on some of these hits. They would light it up. So yeah, the Diamondbacks were not happy. I don't know if you want
Evidently,
to.
they didn't get a lot of practice in for this process.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to use that as an excuse for the loss, but
I don't think
apparently
they
it was
can, but they
distracting.
probably did. It's part of the. There's a like a strobe light effect that stadiums are using now, where if the team scores a touchdown, right, in football, um, and you're in Kansas City, these red strobe lights flash and they kind of dim the I don't want to say house lights because they're not the house lights, but the stadium lights a little bit. And so it gives you that kind of crazy effect of, pulsating to the music type thing. Um, it might be good, but in baseball, I'm not so sure that's going to be helpful, especially when your outfielder's standing there getting blinded by, a bunch of disco lights. So anyway.
Yeah, and there was some other crazy stuff too. Like I heard again, I didn't catch this one, but I heard that after the Phillies took a 5-0 lead on the Rangers
Mhm.
decided to close the roof mid-game, and then the Rangers proceeded to score 9 runs in the next inning. So yeah, I mean, I've never seen that before, unless it's just like started to rain randomly. But I don't
Right.
know why they would close the roof midway through the game. That seems like something where you got to decide at the beginning of the game: is it going to be open or is it going to be closed, and you stick with it for the game.
It's interesting the way that it works with baseball with the retractable roof. It's decided. It used to be, in case they changed it. The rule was when you came, when you exchange lineup cards and you talk about ground rules and all that other stuff. The umpires, for instance, it, a team has the right to call a rain out up into the time of game. Once you go to the exchange lineup cards, then the decision to stop the game rests in the umpire's rule. Okay, so the umpire has that choice. It used to be that the umpire also had the choice of whether to close or open the. If the thing was open, then if it started to rain a little bit or whatever, then the umpire could then tell the people, okay, close the roof.
I would.
Not open it because it had to be open to begin with.
Yeah, I would be mad. It's the same thing. You see that with the tennis.
Mhm.
Everything's open, and all of a sudden, the thing closes, and the whole match changes because it's a different. It's a different. There's no
Well,
wind. There's
you
the
don't have any wind. That's for
humidity.
one.
There's
Yeah.
this. It's colder, warmer, whatever it is. Like and I understand that, but if it's going to rain, then just keep the thing closed for the whole match. It shouldn't be
Right.
like that. Like you shouldn't have home. The one team would open the vents. Remember in the air, I think it was Giant Stadium or wherever, and they would open the doors and like all of a sudden,
Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I know it's home field advantage, but look, I mean, there should be, Major League Baseball have a rule and say, like, listen, man, like, unless it pours or if it's, it got too hot. Like, you knew what temperature it was going to be. These guys, that's the one thing.
Right.
When I was at the Thunder, they have this app. They know to the second what time it's going to start raining and what time it's going to stop raining. Like, literally, they have this like crazy radar app, and you'd watch it, and they're like, it's going to stop raining at like 9:18. And it would like stop raining at not like 9:19 or 9:22. It would stop raining at 9:18. They knew, like, so if they know it's going to rain in the third inning, just close the door. Or close the top. Like, you can't, I don't like that stuff.
Well, it affects tennis at Wimbledon. Is famous for that. Depending upon who's playing, they're going to close the roof, even if it's not raining outside.
It's England. Just close the roof always. You can never be too safe.
It's going to rain at some point in the day. Right. Yeah, exactly. It's London. It's going to rain at some point.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. So
why do you even build open dome in London? Like, just leave it roofed.
Leave it open.
I mean, so today is the first day of the IPL cricket, in the Indian Premier League, which I never really knew cricket. But then when it started going into England, and it would be raining all day in Manchester, so I'm like, I'm not going out in this. So I'd sit in my hotel and watch this IPL. I'm like, man, this is pretty cool sport. So they have these cricket tests, the test matches, the Ashes in England all the time, and like you can't have it in the winter.
No,
obviously it's always in the sun. In Australia, in the summer, whatever, in South Africa, all the places where it's summertime, when it's winter in the north. But they have these matches. Like, they had the World Cup there, the Cricket World Cup there in 2016, 2017, around then. I think they're like, it's like 50-50 whether a match would be played that day. How are you having and then, those matches don't get made up because there's no place to put them. So like, they're just like India was supposed to play Pakistan, which is,
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to, every 10 minutes, they're about to threaten to go to war with each other.
Talk about a rivalry.
Oh, right. And it was in Manchester.
That's a serious rivalry.
It was at Old Trafford, where it's like the Lancs County Cricket Club is right up the street from Old Trafford. So, and it rained. Like, how do you do that? Like, you imagine canceling the war. Like, France is about to play Argentina. We can't play it. Like, we can't play today. It's too cold or it's raining. Like, you just don't have it somewhere like that.
Well, like, another great example of that is like when they do these MLB scheduling. Why the hell do you have teams coming up to play up north at the beginning of the season? Like, the Yankees versus the Giants. That's a game that should be in San Francisco at this time of the year. Why are we bringing them up to New York, where there's an open stadium, and if it rains, it could snow still. We got snow 2 days ago up here. So, like, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
As Bob Carpenter, who's the TV broadcaster for the National, said, we just came from Florida, where it was 35 degrees warmer than it is here right now. And he goes, at least there's not a wind blowing. And then 5 seconds later, the wind starts blowing in. So.
That's another one. You're playing Atlanta. You can play down south.
Next week is going to be. I mean, they're going to get lucky. Next week is going to be in the 70s in the Northeast. So, it's usually not like that. But I never understand that. You have Texas, you have Houston, you have Arizona, you have
Tampa and Miami,
all the California teams. You have Tampa, you have Miami.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. I mean, and even you could start to. It's probably not going to snow in
Arizona. They could have played that game in Arizona.
Yeah, it's probably not. San Diego, Oakland, LA. they got these teams playing. The Diamondbacks are playing the Dodgers. The Angels are playing the Athletics. And then remember, the Rockies are playing the Padres. Colorado, you never know.
Right.
But then you got these, then you got the Phillies who don't play any, I forget the team we were talking about yesterday. They don't play any division. They play 2 division games or whatever.
It was the Phillies.
Phillies, yeah. They only play the 1 series before May 25th. And if you're going to do that, then do it. Tampa's at home. It's just, I don't know. These guys, I know these schedules are made early and stuff, but
yeah, they must be because San Francisco versus New York, they obviously thought Judge was going to be a giant for that one.
That didn't last long.
We talked about. We taped our show for the ESPN, and we talked about the MLS, and he's like, yeah, let's talk about the MLS schedule. I was like, okay, let's talk about it. There's 8 games at 7:30. There's 8 games at 8:30, and then there's 1 game next week. So,
Right.
So he's like, wow, that's crazy. Why do they do that?
It's funny. My brother I was talking to him this morning about the MLS, and he goes, we're getting killed on Twitter, and he goes, which doesn't bother me. He goes,
About what though?
About the home TV announcers. They and it's like he's like, it goes, I don't believe that. He goes, you're watching soccer and you're pissed off because you don't have your own TV announcers.
People are just.
It goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I had 32 games. 32 people I have to put at games. We can't please everybody.
Well, I was just talking this. So Manchester United's coming here for a tour.
Right.
They've already announced they're playing AFC Wrexham, Ryan Reynolds, and Rob McElhenney's team in San Diego. It was a really good trailer. If you saw it on Twitter, it was Rob and Ryan talking to Sir Alex, and he was playing mind games with him because he was. And then at the end of the commercial, they're like, I couldn't bloody hear him. They were on mute the whole time. It was pretty funny. So, the Manchester United's going to play Arsenal in New Jersey in July, like July 22nd or 23rd. So Joe Wiz calling right now. He wants to jump on the show.
Sure.
When you go to these games, the fans are like, it's just weird. I don't know. They find these things to complain about, and you're like, listen, man, like nobody cares who's announcing the game. Like, just don't unless it's like Taylor Twellman or something like that. But they just put it on mute if you have to, or listen to the radio. It's just like. Well,
they do have that radio sync situation.
Yeah, right.
Where you can listen to your hometown radio.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, once again, I bought Sirius XM. I didn't. My mom got it for me as a present back in 2006 because, North Carolina basketball wasn't on TV all the time,
sure.
So they put their broadcast was on. So. That's why I got Sirius XM. But now you can sync up this stuff. So people just want to complain about stuff all the time.
Well, I mean, they do it for you. All you have to do is hit the app.
I know exactly. It's
so George tells me he gets this. They're on Twitter, and somebody said something about that they don't. Okay, so you took our broadcasters away from us, our TV announcers away from us, but I can't even get radio. And then they had to respond to that going, you don't have radio. Not everybody has a radio broadcasting. And so they're not, so they lost their TV guys. Now they lost their, and half these guys, honestly, no offense, I'm going to get myself in trouble, but that's okay. Half these guys who would do soccer on MLS, they're local, don't know a damn thing about what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're sitting there going, I'm being educated by somebody who in 2 days is going to call the football game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I look. Gus Johnson called the Champions League final the one year, and they're just like, I mean, I think that was like the beginning of the end for like Fox with the coverage because you understand what he's trying to do, but he's not. Like it's just like
Look, I love Gus,
the
but
world
that's
feed.
not
Yeah.
his. That's not his shtick.
Yeah. Just use the. It's not like. I feel like it was the Bayern Munich game when Robin scored in like the 90th minute to beat Dortmund, 2-1. It was a crazy, crazy game too, and it was just like, like it doesn't. I'll be like a lot of times now because of the IPTV or whatever. Like I listen to the world feed people because
Right.
I don't want to listen to certain. I don't know. I just like whatever, but it's just I don't need to like just talk about the game.
Honestly, just go find someone from the UK. Doesn't matter who. Okay, as long as they have an English, Irish, or Scottish accent, you're good. You're good. That's all you need.
Well,
yeah, it's like it's kind of. I feel like it's a little. We just talked about like no one cares about the announcers, but like I just if just get someone who knows the game. Like the guys, the guys, the home team announcers for the MLS, they do the TV. They're doing the games. Like they're on the TV for MLS. So like they at least they know the game. Like I don't need to don't bring some guy with a shtick or whatever, man. I don't need Jim Nance. And
I was about to say that Jim Nance doing MLS games. No,
that's not going to happen. Jim does know his limitations. There you go. But the
best was I just I mean Amadeus, are you a WWE guy?
I'm not big any kind of fighting.
It's this weekend. So back in the the WrestleMania, back in the when the coach Jonathan Coachman,
right,
the Attitude Era, he's announcing the games and then like I'm listening to football one night and I'm like, that's Jonathan Coachman. I'm like, it can't be this guy. It's like that can't be him. He's doing WWE. And then like I hear him talk and I like, who's announcing this game? It's Jonathan Coachman. Like, I think I got Jonathan Coachman doing this. Like, he's a WWE guy. Well, no, he was really a football guy who like got a break in WWE with TV and stuff like that. And then like after a while got his chance to do, football games and he did it because that's what he wanted to do. But
I will tell you this. I enjoyed working for many years with John Paul Delacamera. John Paul knows soccer, and sometimes he knew it better than the guy working beside him who was a color analyst. But he was passionate about it. He truly loved it.
Yep.
And and you can listen to him he did the Women's World Cup and women's, the year that Brandon Chastain and they won the first one at the Rose Bowl. John's done, JP is a guy. He did Philly for a while.
He did the 1999 Champions League final. I have the videotape here somewhere, and I have the DVD because we burned it on the DVD as well. But he did the game with Tommy Smith.
Tommy Smith. Yeah.
Tommy Smith. I think it was him and Tommy Smith doing the call for ESPN.
Right.
Because that was like the 99 game was like one of the first that ESPN broadcast live. It was crazy. Obviously, Manchester United won, the 2 goals in injury time. But he kind of just blew up from there, and then he went to Fox and did all that. But I think he does our Philly games for the Union. To be honest,
he did last year. I don't know if he. Well,
yeah. And it's crazy because the
he's
guy
on the Apple side now. So.
The guy that's on NBC, Dan Higginbotham.
Yeah,
he does things, but he's also he's the Union like director of football or something like this. So like I think he does some games. So, but same thing. Like they brought him over here. He's the Manchester United Academy guy. But like when he talks about the game, like you're always just like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. He could be talking about like some nonsense, and like you're like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about, man. He's got that accent. I mean, he's very good. He always does know, but like, and then sometimes they have like Tim Howard, who played in the Premier League for 100 years, and you're just like, yeah, Tim doesn't. This guy, this American guy, what the hell does he know
Right.
about?
I used to
man.
love, yeah. Used to love when Ray Hudson did color.
Still, he does the games for.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying Ray's fantastic from the standpoint of painting a picture. Ray's and he's got a good sense of humor, so I think that that works too. So all you can do is the best you can do, right? And you're not gonna make everybody happy. So you do the best you can. All right. Speaking of not making everybody happy, the Final Four shows up this week, and there's a lot of people who had 1s and 2s and 3s in the final. Not this group. This is an interesting group, and did you see? I don't know if you saw it, but Ken Palm ratings had. I think it's Duke. Or Duke. It was UConn #1 of this group. Number 2 was San Diego State. Number 3 was FAU was 2. San Diego State was 3. Miami was 4. In Ken Palm's thoughts on this process. So, for what it's worth, that's what Ken Palm has. What's the latest line on those games, guys? You have any idea?
Yeah, San Diego State was climbing up to 3. It got up to at one point, but now it's come back to about 2.5. So a lot of money, early money came in on San Diego State, and then it's moved towards FAU the other day. The UConn has stayed stagnant at 5.5. So
I'll tell you what, the thing we kind of broke this down a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When these games go to these giant, they're football stadiums.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Another thing I don't like.
Yeah, it's the first Final Four game I went to is 2008 in San Antonio, and they played it in this Alamo Dome, and they had a curtain, and like it's Alamo Dome's weird. Like all the stuff on this one side, there wasn't any. You couldn't even sit there, and I'm like, why don't you just sell those seats for whatever? Like it's limited view, but who cares? You're in the Final Four. And then I went to Ford Field when North Carolina won in Detroit. But it's like the players are beneath the floor. Like they're down here, and they got to walk up. The floor's up here on the stage, and there's no shooting lines and all this stuff. So I know they practice, but it's tough. Like sometimes you get out there, and these Florida Atlantic, like these kids. There's no way they thought they were going to be. They could say whatever they want,
but you can't replicate that.
No, there's no way. And so for the first game, San Diego State. If there's a team that's better defensively, there's a clear better defensive team in both games. Right? In the first game, San Diego State clearly. They're very, very good in defense. If teams are going to struggle to make shots, like, the defensive team, the better defensive team that's going to force teams into worse shots, I would take a chance on that. And I think San Diego State is 12 straight unders.
Yeah.
So that line's 132, which is, 60s, like low, high 65 is an under, 66, 65, whatever. So
132.
What's that?
132 is interesting for sure.
So I think that's interesting. And then in the second game, UConn and Miami both score 79 points a game. Miami may score 1 point more with the decimals, but defensively, Miami gives up like 71 a game or 70.5, and UConn gives up like 59. Like there's an 11-point difference in the defense there. So the way UConn's playing right now, anyway, I mean, they're just unbelievable. The teams that might struggle to score offensively, I saw that with North Carolina in 08 against Kansas. They just couldn't. The rims, and then they came back into the game, and then against Michigan State in the 2009 final, they were up by 20 at halftime and never looked back. I mean, they just annihilated Michigan State. But sometimes these games, I think, it kind of goes with that. So I would probably defer to the two. I think UConn's probably the best team in the four anyway, but I would probably defer to the two defensively better teams. So San Diego State and UConn. I think the UConn game probably goes over. That over is like 149, 150 here. So, that's going to probably be those teams. There's a chance if those teams are actually shooting well. I mean, one of them could get into the high 80s. I would expect it to be UConn, but
yeah, you know what? I'm definitely not touching that over. I took it in the last game, and you're talking about a team that held the number one offense in the country to almost less than 50 points. Gonzaga was averaging over 90 points a game. You can't. I don't think you can trust the total in this game. I agree because the last one I had 150. I took the over. I was expecting somewhat competitive game, but if this turns out like the last two, because it wasn't just Gonzaga, you had Arkansas, who was 16th best defensive efficiency team in the country, and they got destroyed by UConn. That one did go over the 150, but like if this is going to be a game where Miami's struggling to score and UConn just gets out to a lead and puts them down, I don't know if you're getting those 60 points out of Miami. It just scares me, this total.
Yeah, I would love it to be Miami and Florida Atlantic in the final. I think that would be great for South Florida.
The all Florida final.
Well, I just don't. I think Florida Atlantic could win the game, obviously. If they shoot, if they can score against San Diego State, once again, and San Diego State could struggle a little bit, they could win that game. I just think defense. But I don't know how Miami's going to score enough points to stay with UConn. That's
so Larinaga, knows the system, but we'll have to see. I mean, the part you're talking about with the shot, I mean, you don't when you look at inside the domes and you're shooting. I did the games when we used to do them at Pontiac Silverdome, and it was the NBA. And you're right, half the building was cut off by a curtain. And every time you were at that end, the curtain end, you would see guys who never miss. They go down to the other side where you've got, they've pushed it against basically the wall, and that whole thing shows up. Those guys just, the guys who normally hit. So yeah, it's definitely a distraction. Because it's way bigger than any place you've ever played in, even if you played in a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah, it's just all the open space too. It's just It's bothersome. It's dumb.
It's distracting.
I criticized the game they did earlier this year in the NBA in the Alamo Dome. I think it was the Spurs and the Warriors. It's dumb. It's dumb.
It was not. The building wasn't made for that.
Yeah, no, literally, right? And I guess NRG Stadium has a roof on it, right? It's a retractable roof, I think.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so like if the roof is closed, okay, it should be, right? But like you can't. I hate the idea that they could be playing in elements if they keep the roof open, and it just makes no sense to me. Like this isn't street basketball. This is
I mean, look at
professional.
This. A couple, 2 years in a row, they played basketball games on an aircraft carrier. So you basically
almost every year. I know North Carolina played Michigan State one year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it all, but
they rotate it. Yeah.
They do it in San Diego. So, I mean.
Yeah, in Jacksonville.
Except for this last couple weeks, it rains about 3 days a year in San Diego. Right. So, and the weather's pretty calm. So, they and it's still, they do it in like November. So it's still. But it is a little crazy because you're outside and you have the floor because you get wet and stuff like that. So it is pretty interesting.
So you got that going for you. So, what's coming up this weekend, soccer-wise, guys? Anything of interest?
Yeah, a few decent games. I mean, there's a huge game. Well, the first game back is Manchester City and Liverpool. The two. They've been very good. I mean, I think this is a huge game for both teams, to be honest. People are saying about how City has to win to cut the gap back to 5, but Liverpool here. If Liverpool loses this game, Manchester United and Newcastle play, and one or both of those teams are going to gain ground. If Manchester United can win that game at Newcastle, it's going to be tough, obviously. But they would go 11 points clear of Liverpool, and then also 6 points clear of Newcastle. So it's a big game, and obviously that Tottenham is sitting in 4th on 49 points, but they've played 2 more matches than all 3 of those teams and 3 more than Brighton. So that's a huge game. There's a huge game in Germany. Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. Bayern Munich's won the league 74 years in a row. Really just a decade, but we talked about they lost 2 league titles in 11 and 12 to Dortmund and Jurgen Klopp, and then they came back and won the league the next year and beat them in the Champions League final, and then the whole thing changed. And they just take everybody's players and stuff like that. So, Jim's gone. And then
must be having them internet troubles again.
Yeah. So I think that's a big game, and we'll talk about this. If you're watching here, I don't know if we got a lot of bots or whoever here. I know we got a lot of things. Amadeus and I will be doing it. We'll talk soccer, football, whatever you call it, on Amargol Football Nightly. Every night at 9:00 Eastern time. Every weeknight. Sorry. So Friday tonight we'll talk about all these games. On the weekend, but that's a huge. We'll definitely talk about that one. Arsenal plays Leeds. Big for the top of the table. Brighton, Brentford, massive for both Europe. Both those teams have European ambitions, and then there's a bunch of games at the bottom of the table: Crystal Palace, Leicester, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Bournemouth, Fulham. Sunday is West Ham, Southampton. Huge game at the bottom of the table. Newcastle.
Crystal Palace got some interesting value on them. Plus 160 at home for a team that doesn't really give up goals at home.
And they got a new coach.
They really, though, like if you look at the goals they've given up, they haven't given up more than 1 goal at home in a while. And those games that they've given up the goal were to like Man United and Newcastle, and we're talking like top tier teams in the Premier League. So
they're gonna have that
bottom feeding Leicester.
New manager bounce. Yeah, I mean, I think that's at Leicester, man. I'll tell you what, like
didn't they just get some players back, Crystal Palace? Aren't they healthier?
Yes, yeah, they started to get these teams. The only thing I'll say about Leicester and West Ham is they're on 26 matches, and everyone else around them is on 27 or 28. So they have games at hand, and they're on 24 points. But you got to win those games.
Can't take them seriously.
Yeah,
not until they show me in the Premier League.
Leicester, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Everton. Everton might get hit with a points deduction here because of the improprieties in their financial stuff. So that could if they get hit with a 10-point points, whatever. I mean, if they get hit with anything, they're done
because they just can't get out of debt.
Yeah,
it just won't pay off the debt.
I saw where the people who want to buy Manchester United, one of the groups, may be forced to sell their France.
He's not going to – I don't think he'll get it. Nice. He wants to put more – look, there's a lot of this stuff, Jim Radcliffe, there's a lot of stuff going on here. The problem is, Manchester United just came out with their financials, and the Glazers just put them another $400 million in debt. They had to borrow money. I mean, their outstanding debt is almost $1 billion, and that's this is 18 years on from the when they bought it and used leveraged debt to do it. So, they've taken over $1 billion out, and it's still $1 billion in debt. So, like this guy Ratcliffe, he owns Eneos Chemicals. He would leverage some debt as well. I just don't know how that's going to work. I just think the Cutter bid is going to be, they're going to pay the debt off because they owe money on transfers. It's like a complete disaster. They've basically pillaged.
They want $7.5 billion for that.
They've basically pillaged the club to the point where it can't be like they can't go any further. Like if they don't sell the club at this point, like first of all, if they don't sell the club, they'll burn the stadium to the ground. I'll tell you that right now. The fans, like, they will not let it happen. Like it'll just they'll get every game, they'll get every match called off. But like
insure the stadium.
What's that?
I was kidding. I said insure the stadium.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's. I mean, the financials were brutal yesterday, and it's just like, look, you guys, like, just sell. Like, if they get $7.5 billion, they'll walk away with $7 billion because they didn't put any money into it. Like, they never put any money into it, and they've been taking dividends the whole time. So, but like, Everton. The Premier League has referred Everton for alleged financial breach of profit and sustainability rules, which means, hi, Luke, they've recorded losses of almost £400 million over the past 3 years, and you're only allowed to lose 105. So, they're going to be fined, which I guess at that point, who cares? Because the guy's trying to sell the club. If they get docked points, they're done. If they get a 10-point, but, the clubs in these other leagues, this lower leagues, Derby County, and they get docked points for doing this, and they don't like to do it to the Premier League, but they have to follow the rules.
Why isn't it part of the sale that you have to pay off the debt?
I mean, the people that buy it can do it, I guess, so they can do whatever they
No,
want.
what I'm saying is why doesn't the league mandate that whoever buys a club, that we'll take Manchester United out of the picture for the moment, any club.
Well, Everton's for sale too, so like, yes, if somebody sells them, I mean, if somebody buys them, they should have to, clear.
Because in the NBA and NHL, if you buy a franchise and there's debt on this, you have to service the debt.
Well, this is the thing that's why people were trying to tell me the other day about the Premier League clubs or the Vegas. I'm like, listen, man, you don't understand the NFL. These teams, it's a print. They print money. It doesn't matter. Like Jeff Bezos is the richest guy in the world, or what? Now he's the third richest. He wants a team. This guy doesn't want a team because they lose money. That guy doesn't do anything to lose money. So the Premier League clubs, most of them run at a loss. They run at a loss, and they it's not as bad as the economy is here. It's a disaster. I mean, there's some borderline dodgy stuff going on in England. Like it's pretty crazy over there. So, here, people were saying this. I'm like, America. I'm like, listen, man, here's the Dodgers' new deal. They just signed a 25-year deal for TV contract for $8.3 billion. 8.3. Like, that's just the TV contract. Manchester United's not even going to get sold for that. Like the Dodgers are, and plus all the other stuff they do. So it's just
locked in for a quarter of a century.
It's just different gravy over here. And NFL is licensed to print money.
Well, we just saw though that both Bally's and AT&T, the regionals, have filed for bankruptcy. So even they can't pay that $8 billion off to the to the Dodgers at this point. And Major League Baseball, frankly, wants those rights back, because if you have the rights back, then you can put together a streaming service. And the Yankees were the first. They've got a direct-to-consumer app out there now where you can buy all the Yankee games for a season for a.
What's up, Rye Cape?
Hey, Rye, how you doing, buddy? Who's going to win this weekend NASCAR?
That's my guy, Rye Cape. You can find him in the Insiders Room Discord with me.
Hey, good to see you, right?
Another great, excellent pick advisor handicapper, as well as myself. So,
Yeah.
make sure you go check it out.
He's a good guy. Hey, Rye, my Ford's going to win this week or no?
Yeah, what's the NASCAR scoop? He'll have his show probably tomorrow, I believe. The NASCAR
Well,
report.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to, spoiler alert for you.
Like Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin. Ugh. Well, okay. He's your pick. I agree. I respect.
He knows his stuff. He's cashing big dogs. So yeah, I'm sure he's got a good reason for Denny Hamlin there. I'm not big into the racing scene. I don't like the fighting scene either. So you're in good hands with Rye Gabe.
Well, Denny Hamlin's a talented driver. He's got a good car. So
this is a Toyota race, he says.
It's all Toyota?
No, it's just Toyota's going to win.
It's Toyota. Okay.
Not a good track for my Fords. So there you go.
Like I said, I don't know the racing scene.
It's all right. You're not being tested on it. So don't worry about it. There was only, I think, 8 pitch clock violations yesterday, and 1 spike guy on the base. So
yeah.
So the pizza box bases seem to be working, and
But Max Fried
the
tripped over the pizza box base, I guess.
Oops. Did we ever find out what happened? I mean, I know he tripped over the bag, but he's not out for the
Max
season.
Fried?
Yeah, it's a hamstring.
Hamstring, yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah. So
I wish him well. May he come back after the All-Star break.
Just got to stretch it out a bit.
Yeah, it's tough. So, all right. So we got any Final Four predictions?
Yeah.
When we see each other on Monday, we'll
like
have
what Sean was saying.
I think the 2 defensive teams.
So you're thinking San Diego State and UConn?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, UConn probably wins.
I think UConn probably wins the title, but Luke, you think that's good? All right.
Luke's a fan of San Diego State.
Yeah.
They travel too, them UConn fans. So
yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the start of UConn being back big time. Hurley's a great coach, and
he is.
Yeah, they're going to start.
Comes from a good coaching line of people.
Yeah, that's right. I'd love to see FAU cut the net. Yeah, right. I think Florida Atlantic. Miami would be. To be honest, I mean anybody but UConn really. Which is UConn's the best team, but if San Diego State or Florida Atlantic, if they won the national title, I mean it would just be like a seismic shift. I think at this point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you should have a mid-major winning a championship, which is, a good thing. Coach May at FAU just got a contract extension. So they're not letting him out of Boca, which, frankly, I don't know if you've ever seen the campus. I don't think you'd want to leave it. But, it's we'll see, right? Maybe, stranger things have happened. They are they've got the bigs, right? FAU. They got the tall guys.
Yeah.
That front line. So maybe, feed the beast and see if they can get you out of there with a win. Hey, how are you?
Luke, say hi. Oh, look at everybody. Say wave to everybody.
Good to see you. I'm impressed with Luke's green shirt is not doing anything to the background. That's impressive.
How are you How are you on TV?
Yeah, Foxy. I think the real difference between American and the UK football is it's more of a sport over there. Here it's entertainment.
Yeah.
These are entertainment leagues, not sports leagues.
And basically, like you're saying, it's almost when you get as much money as they do in television money, it's almost impossible to not make money. Now the big wells will prove that wrong, but and others, but they can prove that mediocrity on a regular basis is okay. Yeah, that's a definite. I get that. We're all for relegation in every sport, personally, but none of the.
Bring it over here.
What's that?
Bring it over here.
Yeah,
Bring
we're
it
going to
on.
relegate. Buffalo's now in the national in the baseball league, and we're still working to try to get Sean's Montreal Expos back.
Yep.
There's I haven't heard anything recently about their expansion, what they want to do, but that'd be nice if they could get that ballpark downtown. If they got that ballpark downtown in '94, they would still be there.
Yeah.
I went one time to Park. You remember Park Jarry, the wooden structure?
Great Park.
As a kid, I went there, and I remember the PA announcer with that one. They had a catcher on that team, John Boccabella. So he would take that Italian last name and just kind of roll it out there for about a minute, and you're like, it's like, wow, this is cool. And that was all wooden stadium down there. So it was on the island. It was a good place. Very cool. So yeah, Montreal is a good baseball town. Don't let anybody tell you that. Different. So there you go there. And Toronto's Blue Jays. Did the Jays win yesterday? I don't have that.
Yeah, 10-9. What a game that was.
10-9. Another pitching duel for them. Okay. Vancouver, they do, right? They do.
Charlotte once won. Nashville once won. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they got to figure out. Vegas once won. They got to try.
Yeah, if the A's go to Vegas, then I think Vancouver's got a shot at getting a team.
I like Marseille and Burnley. Talking about that.
Frankfurt, yeah.
I like
I don't know if you're here earlier at 9 tonight. We'll have Amadeus and I are going to talk about all the weekend games. So if you're around to jump on that, and Rye, if you're around to jump on.
Come on in. Rye does Rye, if you want to join us sometime, let us know. We'll throw a invite your way. Always
get
welcome.
some NASCAR on the show.
Yeah, get a Friday NASCAR show. What was I going to say? Which is clearly unimportant. The national championship game this week will be on Monday. We'll have a chance to preview that one for you on Monday. And I can't think of anything else going on, boys. Can you think of anything?
Amadeus, they're calling the Jersey guys are calling you Silent Bob on the Twitter.
What do you mean they're calling me Silent Bob? Why?
I don't know. I guess they say you look like Silent Bob from like the Jay and Silent Bob.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't either.
Clerks?
No.
It's Kevin Smith.
No, man. I'm like 20. I don't.
That was from 94, man.
Yeah, I was born in 98.
Hang on a second. Let me look it up. Silent Bob, huh?
Here, hold on.
I got it. You got it?
Yeah.
Who is this? The people on your Twitter account?
The people. It's not my people, but yeah. Hold on.
Your Man United people.
They're people.
Someone here. Here. Let me show you. This guy here. In the middle. Kevin Smith. This guy.
I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Got to share the screen.
This guy.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I
All
guess.
right.
With the hair and the backwards hat. Okay.
Yeah, Silent Bob. Yep.
Yeah.
And this is the he's fun. He's like so this is Kevin Smith. Like he made all the movies. He doesn't really talk.
Mhm.
any of the movies just in there. And the other guy here is like Jay Mewins, I think. He's just like he's a snooky, like, but it's all like this Jersey Shore. They made it like low rent, and then they did like Mall Rats and all these other ones. But he's like they hang out outside this like convenience store, and like he sells drugs, and he just stands there.
Okay.
He sells drugs and he just stands there.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to be someplace. Got to have a place to go. Wow. Well, there you go. That a pop culture reference.
That's right. From New Jersey as well. So there you go.
And Jersey, right? Get them all in at the same time. So that's well done. And we're all back. All right. Okay, guys. Any other thing before we bop out of here on a Friday afternoon?
Just remember tonight, 9:00, we'll do the show. Margot Football Nightly, be on every weekday at 9. We'll talk about the games for the next day. So if tell Bill, Foxy, if you talk to Bill, I don't know if you do or whatever, just tell Bill, the picks and stuff like that. So be more, and it'll be specifically mostly football. They're the Cheech and Chong of the 90s. Yeah, look, hey, Rye, they're from New Jersey, so that's where I'm from. They down by Milltown and stuff. I'm not from there, but yeah, they had the comic book store and all this stuff. They also did the one where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were the fallen angels, Loki and Enki, and Alanis Morissette was God. So it's a pretty interesting movie. I forget the name of it. Mallrats was great though.
Well, you referenced Cheech and Chong. Now that marijuana is legal in so many states, Cheech and Chong would be in their heyday at this point.
That's right.
They would be in great shape. So, anyway, on that pop culture reference, guys, Sean, you're going to have to take us out of here because something's wrong with my ability to
Dog. Thanks, Philadelphia guy. Yeah, Rye. I'm in Richboro now. So I lived in Northeast Philly and moved just north to Richboro. So I'm just north of there.
You're in the neighborhood.
That's right. All right. So tune in tonight, and we will see you later.
Monday.